If you played CS 1.6 back in the day, then you might have heard of the name Omonas. Omonas, also known as Mirtis or Old School, is a server community run by Irmatas, 45 years old to this date. It was one of the most successful servers ever, reaching over 100 simultaneously players online at its peak, and running more than 20 servers. Omonas was not only successful, but also offered a wide range of game modes like almost no other server. You may have noticed some servers show a funding date on the titles, often something like 2010 or 2012, which is arguably old, but this is nothing compared to Omonas, which has been running since 2003. That makes Omonas one of the oldest servers ever. Omonas' most popular servers were the Zombie Plague 5.0.7, Base Builder, Death Run, and Jailbreak, and the still very frequently played classic server of Omonas. Omonas was not only dominant in the server market, but also with his second project called Gamer Tracker LT, where it offered boosts. The peak of this boost was in 2016, with over 30,000 unique connections per day, which was recalculated to about 1,000 concurrent players online during the daytime. If you're wondering how boosts work and how Gamer Tracker LT fits into this, I might make a dedicated video about it, but in short, Omonas Gamer Tracker LT had so many players at the first place because Omonas distributed Cracked 1.6 versions, where the internet tab only showed Omonas' own servers and the servers of those who paid to be listed. This is known as a custom master server in Gold Source Engine, which 1.6 runs on. Omonas 1.6 sites like Rampage CS, CSXT and others were owned by Omonas and were very successful in the mid-2010s, being frequently downloaded and gave Omonas a huge market share in the 1.6 space. One of the two biggest sponsors of Omonas had the nicknames LT and Nizami. While LT stayed as a small sponsor for Omonas until around 2023, Nizami was planning, back in 2016, to create his own servers. Nizami did start his servers and reaching a peak of 4 servers online, featuring Classic, Deathmatch and also Zombie Plague. Nizami's most relevant server, the Zombie Plague 1, was based on Omonas Zombie Plague and almost overtook Omonas player records in 2018 and 2019. At the time, Nizami obviously left Omonas as a sponsor, since there were no competitors. However, just as quick as Nizami grew to Omonas level, such as in 2018 and 2019, he dropped just as fast. At the end of 2019 and the start of 2020, from the one day to another, players reported that Nizami's servers went offline. Sometimes the servers were unreachable, then back online, then offline again. This went on for about 2 to 4 weeks, causing almost 80% of the player base to leave. When the server finally stabilized, only about 6 to 8 players per server was left playing, while before it used to be constantly 32 or 32 players. But it got even worse. Just a few weeks later, Nizami announced that all his servers would officially be closed. Because of that, around mid-2020, Omonas got a huge boost. All the Nizami players who had switched from Omonas returned. Also the COVID-19 situation hit hard, which gave Omonas a kind of a second summer. Before that, Omonas from 2018 and 2019 dropped from 30,000 unique connections per day down to 4,000, but it managed to recover to almost 18,000 unique connections back, which is about a 4.4x boost. Unfortunately, this bright period was short. By the end of the same year, Omonas dropped back to around 7,000 unique connections. But it got even worse. The drop wasn't only because of the decreasing interest in 1.6, but also because many admins abused their rights, far worse than in almost any other servers you can ever imagine. Some admins joined it randomly, banned 10 to 20 people for no reason, and left again. Now, if you believe that was it, and that I was just talking about how bad the admins are and how toxic they are, then you are wrong. Luckily at the time I had footage recorded of everything I just mentioned about the admins, how they break their own rules, ban people randomly and are cheaters. They are literally the cheaters. So cheater admins ban non-cheater players. That's pretty ironic. I will edit the footage down to make it a little bit shorter so it's not too long now for this video, but if you want to see the full context, in the description I will link any footage I showed, so you can see nothing got out of the context edited or something like this. Also another problem is that Omonas didn't create the server back in the time by himself, he had developers who did it for him. Unfortunately, in the future, about mid 2010s, the developers left Omonas and Omonas was back alone. This means that the servers got over time more and more buggy because he just added public plugins without doing any further customization and do compatibility checks for other plugins. And because of this, the admins also abused the bugs, which made it even worse. And that's why the servers became almost unplayable. This was one of the main reasons why the servers died even faster than expected. And meanwhile, Omonas' connection log of GamerTracker LT dropped from a record low of 1000 unique connections per day, which is still arguably not that less, but it is just 1/3 of what it had 5 years ago from that timeline. And this happened on 2022. And after that, about 1 year later, the entire connection log didn't even work and shows just 0, which is ironic because this shows pretty much the state of Omonas, that just everything is broken as fuck, and that's why everybody is leaving. Also a small personal story on the side. When I was 16 years old and wanted a sponsor rung in Omonas, the official price, which I knew was the official price, was 100 euros per month, which was okay at the time because the servers had a lot of players. However, one of Omonas' right-hand men, called MoHiT, tried in my opinion to scam me by saying I needed to pay 200 euros per month. He even used a psychological sell trick by telling me I have just to pay 150 euros because he told Omonas positive stuff about me. But I knew at the time this was not a real price, so I figured it out and didn't let me get scammed. This shows that Omonas stuff is really unprofessional. I also heard from other sources that some people might have paid just 50 euros, but I can't verify that information. When Omonas tried in mid 2022 to turn things around, it was already too late. Almost all of its servers were dead, and the website became more and more broken. All that's left is one last semi-relevant server, that's the classic mode. Omonas' current state shows what happened when the wrong people get high positions. It also shows the downfall of Omonas itself. You could almost say Omonas is a mirror of the current state of 1.6. Every time Omonas was successful and full, so was 1.6. Every time Omonas fell off, so did 1.6. And the current situation points out that the game is dead. So Omonas as well. If you liked the video, leave a comment and subscription. See you next time. Rawr!